NationPay is coming, and in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how we empower banks to give their clients cardless solutions on blockchain with just the press of a button and one line of integration code to online banking. Today, there are over 2,000 cryptocurrencies. Maybe it's a great way to pay for things online and even in person, but it's getting kind of congested out there. I mean, the important thing to note is that few of these currencies have value related to what products are priced in, and the ones that do generally don't consider the world economy as a whole or the complex relationships between products priced in different currencies. Then, what's left are coins that mediate two currencies using a third middle currency, which itself is volatile or used for no other purpose than a single cross-border exchange. Not bad, but none of these cryptocurrencies work well to provide a natural exchange for products priced using different fiat currencies, nor do they fancy using the elephant in the room, the deeply entrenched banking network that has part in the vast majority of transactions in the world today. And then, wouldn't it be easier, maybe more ideal, to have just one cryptocurrency to pay for everything? Bitcoin could be that currency, but the problem there is that the things people buy are relative to their own currency, and Bitcoin and all the other cryptocurrencies are constantly changing in value. Well, some are pegged to a real currency, but then they just provide a solution for a single country. So there needs to be a way to merge banks, cryptocurrencies, and relative pricing in a single network where eventually a single currency can emerge in a passive way. We believe the key is by empowering banks, not decentralizing them. That is what NationPay does. I guess the other elephant in the room is that some countries are building their own cryptocurrencies. Like, consider China, for example. The country itself remains a central provider, backer, and controller of their currency, just as they are now. So nothing really changes, except the ability to use the currency for online payments. That's important, and if there were only one country in the world, indeed it might be a solution. Of course, the servers remain centralized and operable only by the government, so the private chain is not really an ideal way to go. Now, let's see how NationPay is a great path to a single world currency. Consider a bank, Sparrow Bank. They add a BankNet pegged to the dollar. This is just a wallet address the bank controls with up to 3 signatories. This takes about a minute. There are some basic settings like the fees they want to charge for minting and burning tokens. We'll explain these app settings and what tokens are on the next slide. So, when the bank is ready, they press the Add New BankNet button. This associates the wallet address with up to 3 bank officials and associate partners who might share in the fees. The BankNet is now created and it just looks like an account on the NationPay system with the role of banker. Clients, like Alice, register their wallet to the BankNet from their online banking. This links their wallet address to their real bank account using the KYC that the bank requires. NationPay makes that simple with QR codes for wallet addresses. Then, Alice adds the account to her wallet. And here's what that looks like. Clients like Alice mint tokens from their bank accounts to their wallets just by going to the app and pressing the Mint button. This transfers the cash in Alice's account to the bank and gives her tokens instead. NationPay has a simple API to ensure the bank makes the cash transfer before the tokens are minted. Now is a good time to explain tokens. Tokens are simply digital credit, and it's just a way to free up your cash to do things with it, like buy stuff online. Normally you or a merchant would pay a credit fee for that. The idea here is to make the fee really low, because unlike credit, you actually own it, so in fact, tokens are exactly like prepaid credit. Mint events wouldn't happen too often in a thriving token economy with one world currency, but for now, while people are still paid in cash, and there will be many BankNets, minting will be quite common. More so, there will be minting rather than burning as the economy expands and more cash is put into tokens. And that's why banks will probably only have fees for burning ultimately, because there are other reasons banks will want to incentivize their clients to have their money in tokens. The main one is simple. Banks want you to keep your cash with them. When you take real cash out, the bank has less cash. But when you get tokens, the bank still has the cash. Sure, it's not in your account anymore, but they have the cash, and that means all the floating tokens in the system are backed by cash that the bank can invest. This is of huge benefit to the banks. All the more reason the mint fee will likely be close to zero. Clients send tokens to other clients to buy stuff or pay a debt, or even to receive cash at whatever rate the client sets. So a client, Bob, can send tokens to a client restaurant to pay the bill, or Bob can send tokens for cash to a client supermarket acting as a money services business. When a client like Alice wants to cash out, she retires her tokens just by pressing the burn button. That adds cash back to her bank account. The supermarket can also cash out. They're a bank client too, just like Alice. The bank makes a small fee at a rate they set, both to withdraw and to deposit cash back into a client's account in response to a token being minted or burned, respectively. On the one hand, the round-trip fee should be zero because the token has already earned cash in digital form. It is not credit, except in so much as the term prepaid credit makes sense. However, on the other hand, using that cash as you would a credit card means the 3% merchant fees are gone. That means the prices of things can be lower, not to mention tokens can be used over and over again with zero fees, completing many cycles before someone decides to cash out. That said, encouraging users to keep tokens floating in the economy is of benefit both to the banks and to the users. Suffice to say, we project that a round-trip fee of 1% or less will be necessary to keep the system thriving. Now, take a moment please to read about MSBs on the NationPay network. While the bank fee must be small, the bank is able to participate in the MSB earnings of the supermarket as a side effect in both directions. Of course, any merchant who gets paid in tokens is receiving them instead of a credit card, so now it is the customer minting tokens who pays the mint fee, and the merchant who may want to cash out who pays the burn fee. It is for this reason primarily that the bank fees must be under 1% full circle for the network to remain attractive over credit cards. But because the bank will now have all the float in tokens that would ordinarily be unavailable to them if withdrawn as cash, the banks have incentive to keep the fees at near zero. Further, the credit as a token can be used over and over again for free. This is not so with a credit card, so there are multiple wins here, both for the bank and the consumer. Clients can send tokens to users who are not clients of Sparrow Bank, like John. So, say Bob owes some money to John. He can send him tokens to pay up, and John can use the tokens to trade with others in the Sparrow Bank economy. He can cash out at the supermarket too, without ever having an account at Sparrow. But remember, the supermarket charges a fee for that, so John might want to get an account at Sparrow and become a client. Oh, and that supermarket? It can be an associate bank, an individual licensed as an MSB, or even an ATM. That's right, anyone can send tokens to an ATM by scanning its QR code, and the ATM can automatically dispense cash whether you are a client of the bank or not, as long as the tokens are minted by Sparrow. The ATM doesn't subtract the balance from your bank account because tokens are sent to the ATM account instead, just like the supermarket example, except it's the bank itself acting as its own MSB. NationPay allows any Sparrow client to be an MSB, adding a key feature to banking while keeping Sparrow in the loop. With NationPay, Sparrow's own ATM business is self-accountable when commingling token-paid cash with the more familiar ATM withdrawed cash, which gets taken out of the client's bank account. Token cash does not, yet both forms of cash can live in the ATM. Sparrow can track its token business apart from its regular ATM business just by viewing the tokens in its ATM wallet. Then, when filling up the machine with cash, the ATM wallet simply sends its tokens to a higher-level bank wallet in exchange for the cash. This creates a separate reportable accounting structure where token depth in the economy is easily measurable. Unbanked persons add to Sparrow's token economy, thereby increasing the bank's float. Money that might have been withdrawn as cash now remains in the bank while being used at the same time in the economy. For example, a side effect of John's participation is that he adds to the token economy, causing clients to mint more tokens that might have been used as cash, like to pay John as a contractor. The near-term win is that banks have access to increased float time due to unbanked users in the economy. If John can use the tokens at many places, he may not cash them out so quickly. So now it gets interesting. Say Eagle Bank comes along and they add a BankNet pegged to the dollar as well. Now, all Eagle Bank clients are trading tokens with each other wallet to wallet, just like Sparrow Bank. And oh, it just so happens John is a client of Eagle Bank and has added an Eagle BankNet account to his wallet by tapping Request Client Account in the app. Now we can talk about merging economies. Remember Bob sent some Sparrow tokens to John earlier? Let's call them SPT. So John can trade with them or cash them out at the supermarket that's a client of Sparrow. But what happens if John lives far away from any clients of Sparrow or whatever, he wants the cash in his Eagle Bank account right away? Well, Eagle Bank can only burn Eagle Bank tokens. So what can John do? Enter the NationPay marketplace. By simply offering his SPT for EBT in exchange or indirectly against Ether or Bitcoin, John can do business with clients at both banks. Because all bank networks are backed, there will always be a market for all tokens, even if discounted or inflated. The floating market price will be determined by factors such as risk variation between banks, relative accessibility to banks' network of clients, and distribution of bank branches, which are also clients of each BankNet. Remittance is simply wallet to ATM, even across countries and currency types. Here, Bob is a client of Sparrow Bank in New York, and Alice is unbanked, living in Mexico City, close to a Bank of Mexico ATM. Bob could send Ether directly to Alice, who would use the marketplace to purchase Bank of Mexico's token, MBT. Alternatively, Bob knows that Alice lives near a Bank of Mexico ATM, so Bob buys MBT on the marketplace by swapping out some of his SBT and then sending it to Alice. Alice cashes out at the Bank of Mexico ATM nearest her house. That ATM may be owned by Bank of Mexico or any client of Bank of Mexico licensed as an MSB. ATM accounting is simple. When ATM cash is low or at some set quantity, the ATM performs a burn operation to transfer its tokens to the ATM owner. The owner may be a private client or the bank itself. That event lets the owner know it's time to replenish the ATM. With thousands of Bitcoin ATMs in the world today, Bob could send Bitcoin to Alice, who could get cash from a Bitcoin ATM. The problem there is that these ATMs have fees from about 5% to 15%, and that is usually due to many factors that set the Bitcoin operator's business apart from that of a bank. Factors such as taking on volatility risk, the costs of putting cash into the ATM frequently, and a low volume of business. These all contribute to high fees. Banks, on the other hand, have a large network of ATMs already established. They have access to cash nearby to most of their ATMs, and while using NationPay, the cash the bank provides is offset by a token that is pegged to the same currency that is being dispensed. With NationPay, the bank enjoys the benefits of a closed system, yet remains open. This allows fees to be near zero, yet still determinable by the bank. The competitive nature of the NationPay marketplace necessarily causes banks to keep fees low. It also allows small banks to compete with large ones. Bank ATMs will require machine changes to support the scanning of QR codes and software changes to simply control the NationPay wallet. As you can imagine, a world economy of banknets will emerge. Some of them will be pegged to other currencies, like the euro, the yen, the peso, the guarani, and, well, all currencies. This allows people to buy in their native currency without volatility, letting the marketplace determine which banks can ultimately merge, allowing product pricing in other currencies to happen gradually in accordance with the availability of tokens. NationPay has no borders, but banks are respected and empowered to create this solution. And of course, all tokens are tradable wallet to wallet and on the marketplace. And so, the path to one world economy is clear. NationPay.io is the evolution of money. Please visit our crowd sale at crowdsale.nationpay.io.